Cool. So, hey, everybody, thanks for joining me. This was not meant to be an impromptu live stream, just kind of worked out that way due to life events. But yeah, great. So, there's a couple things I want to do today. One is I want to talk about this new list, or rather, this new tournament result that we have out of Warhammer World. There's a big tournament over there, and of course, Tau took top spot. So, I want to take a look at that list and talk about kind of how it compares to more traditional lists, because it certainly isn't a traditional list in the competitive meta in general. And I want to talk about kind of the composition of that and go through some of the comments that I saw from the player on Reddit. So we're going to talk about that. And then, of course, the channel has reached 7.5 thousand subscribers. 7,500 subscribers. And so I'm going to do a very kind of quick turnaround giveaway here. Primarily for the people that are watching this live, we will do that giveaway. But it will also be open for a very brief period of time for people that are not watching this live as well. So if you're watching this within the first few hours of upload, there's still an opportunity for you to get in on this too. So great. Yeah, hey everybody, great. So basically, let's start at the top with that Warhammer World Tournament. It was, let's see here, I will post a link to what I'm actually looking at here in the chat for you guys. But the tournament, I don't know how many people were actually at that tournament. It was a lot, right? Like, okay, at least 82, because 82 is the bottom seed here. So there's 82 people, and Tau took first place. It was at Warhammer World using Eternal War missions. So I think that's probably a really important thing in contextualizing this result, is that it's at a Games Workshop official place. So they're using Games Workshop missions right out of the book. They're using the Eternal War missions just as they are printed. They're not using things like ITC format or ETC format or Nova or Renegade. None of that. It's all by the book. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different type of play style. And so you're going to have different results compared to events that use these alternative rule schemes. So Eternal War missions are primarily based on end of game scoring. So it's a lot of it's a lot about board control at the end of the game. It's not so much about what you do turns 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's about what you do turn 5. And this is really the scenario where Tau were, kind of at their peak in like 6th edition, Tau Dar, that sort of thing, when you could have your Riptide and your Commander and your Farseer all together, and nobody could touch you. And that's the same type of environment that Tau can still do well in today, and they can do well in lots of different environments, as we've been talking about, but particularly an environment that rewards end of game board control. Tau can do very well because things like Riptides, other battle suits that can stay on the board thanks to savior protocols have a really big advantage in mobility and being able to claim objectives late game. So having the tournament be Eternal War based does give Tau an advantage that you might not see in other environments. So that, I think that's really important to kind of think about when we're contextualizing this. First place was Tau. Second place, Genestealer Cults, Eldari. Third place. The next Tau is at 9th place. Then we have one at 12th. And 29th is the next Tau after that. So we have a nice clustering of Tau in the top of the tournament results, and otherwise a lot of Imperium kind of soupy lists, that sort of thing. So yeah, Imperium, Eldar. I think that Genestealer Cult is the only Genestealer Cult in the top 20 or so. Yep. So yeah, really, we have Imperium, Tau, and Eldar in the top 20. Just looking at chat here before we move on. Yeah, so great question. Can you email me your list and get your thoughts on it? Yeah, so that's one of the things I do for patrons is if you're a patron at any dollar level, you can go ahead and send me your list. I'll happily review it in video format if you like. Most people prefer that. So I'll go ahead and look at your list, talk about strengths, weaknesses that I perceive, and then revise and provide you with an edited version of that list. So that's definitely something you can do. Otherwise, if you're looking for just kind of more casual commentary on things, join our Discord. We are, happy to talk about things on the Discord too. So go do that. Yeah. All right. Cool. So what was this GT winning list? It was, and I don't have an exact points breakdown or anything like that. I'm guessing that the tournament was 1850. I don't know if that's right. If anybody knows, let me know. But like 1850, it wasn't 2000. It was less than that. So, all right. So this list was Shadow Sun, an Ethereal, a Fireblade, Dayak Wreck, 3 Marksmen, 3 5-man units of Fire Warriors, 1 Riptide, 3 Broadsides, 5 Piranhas, 8 Piranhas, a unit of 5 and a unit of 3. And we could just stop there, right? I mean, that's kind of like the elephant in the room about this list is the 8 Piranhas in it. It has Shadow Sun drones and then 11 shield drones split between 3 2-man units and 1 5-man unit. The Ethereal and the Marksman were a Sakia detachment. Everything else was a Tau detachment. And yeah, basically the I don't know the guy's actual name. On Reddit, his name is Talopolis. So I'm assuming he's a very short person. Maybe not. Maybe not. It was 1750 points. Okay, thanks everybody. Cool. Was his name Simon? His name was Simon. Okay. Simon / Talopolis is talking about really how piranhas are, the meat and potatoes of this list, not because of their offensive capability necessarily. He's taking them with burst cannons. That's it. And that makes a lot of sense to me. But because of their board control and kind of some of the, what people might call shenanigans that you can do with them when entering into combat. And so he really highlights that with the broadsides, with Shadow Sun there, they can do their Shadow Sun broadside thing all day, every day. And, you call Kaoyun twice, you command and control node them twice. They're going to do a lot of damage. Riptide's going to do a lot of damage. You have Fire Warriors to grab some objectives. Dayak Wreck for some sneaky stuff, doing a couple more wounds maybe. But really, this list is about having your Riptide and your broadsides hang out in a gun line and shoot at stuff while the piranhas bully other things. And I think that makes sense, especially given what we've already talked about how Eternal War missions give an advantage to things that can stick around on the tabletop. And if we're talking about a list that has 8 piranhas in it, and a bunch of broadsides and a fair number of drones and a Riptide, yeah, that list has a pretty good shot on sticking around on the tabletop, especially with the mobility of piranhas. On top of that, you're going to have good board control throughout the entirety of the game, as long as those piranhas are around. And then once those piranhas are gone, if that happens, your Riptide and your Fire Warriors can kind of pick up the slack a little bit. But really, your piranhas, the drones that they dispense, you're going to have pretty good board control just based off of that. The other thing here is that with this list comprised as it is, the shenanigans that he's able to do, that he's talking about, are really just based on how assault armies work. And of course, we don't really want to be in close combat, but you can rush these 11 piranhas up and have them shoot at stuff, right? You get I think it's like 100 138 shots out of the 8 piranhas or something like that. And that's a good volume of fire, right? You're using the piranha's ballistic skill because this is a vehicle. Those drones are embarked. You get to use the piranha ballistic skill, which is better than the drones, so that's good. You're using assault weapons, so you can advance and shoot with only -1 penalty, or if you have marker lights, which is certainly not a problem given the composition of this list, you can ignore that. So really, you can dish out a fair number of shots just with those piranhas. And then when we put something like focus fire on top of that, we are in the same position that we were when we're talking about blobs of fire warriors, right? Once you have focus fire on something with a bunch of fire warriors, they can take you down pretty easily with that +1 to wound. So I think the concept here makes sense for the most part. Obviously, it worked in this scenario, but in addition to that, there's this bullying component that you have with the piranhas, where you have your shooting ability, but really what's making the piranhas work here is that they can either be charged or charge a unit. And then once that combat has resolved, and let's say the piranha dies, which happens, those drones can then disembark. And if they disembark, they are now going to be a unit that can't be targeted because the combat has already been resolved. And they are the closest unit now to some other, or they are now the closest enemy unit to your opponent. So their consolidation move has to be in towards those drones. And then what do you do? Well, your drones are tying up that unit in combat still. So you have some ability to pick and choose the rate at which your opponent advances towards you. You can tie them up, slow them down, release them in a certain order that allows these piranhas to really give you control over your opponent's tactical choices. And I think that's cool. I don't know. I really don't think that this list would do as well in the types of environments you see outside of GW official events, right? I don't think that this would necessarily do as well in an ITC event because of a few different factors. One is the way that terrain works in ITC, right? For ruins, you'd have enclosed bottom floors, right? You can't see through the bottom floor of ruins. And that's a huge obstacle for this list that relies primarily on your broadside and your riptide just sitting around with Shadow Sun and pew-pewing, right? So if you don't have line of sight, if you don't have that good initial deployment under an ITC set with this army list, you're going to be really hurting. The other thing is that the missions don't favor that end of game scoring as much as the Eternal War missions do. And so, yeah, you might be able to stick around for a good portion of the game with this kind of level of durability, but you're not necessarily going to have the same ability to score progressively throughout the game. I think at one point, Simon says that the piranhas in this list can easily take out a Castellan knight. And I don't see the math on that really working out. You have, like I said, like 136 shots or something. That really results in like 10 wounds on a knight on average if you use focus fire. It's something like that. It's not a full knight's worth of wounds or anything like that. So you are still relying on your broadsides and your riptides to really do the heavy lifting there. And so I think this list is a little bit underpowered in terms of offensive capability to compete in other types of metas that you would see in other places. All right. Right. The seeker missiles. I almost forgot those. So the seeker missiles are really where you're able to get that night killing power. And yeah, you can do that turn 1, turn 2. Piranha's not a great platform for it, but they're cheap. They're a cheap platform for your seeker missiles, and so that's where you would get your night killing capabilities from. But yeah, not from the pulse fire, right? You're relying on those seeker missiles. Okay. Yeah, you guys are like losing your minds about the seeker missiles. You're like, Why is he not mentioning the seeker missiles? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's the main thing. Okay. Cool. All right, so you get seeker missiles in a variety of kits. You can get them in any of the hammerhead kits. You get them built in with the broadside kit. You get them built in with the flyer kit. You get them with the Forge World flyers. What else? There's a bunch of places that you can get seeker missiles. Skyray kit, of course, is another good place for seeker missiles. All right. So that's it. Right. What else are we going to say about this? Yeah. So Simon was saying that it does do well in ITC, and I think, like I said, there are conditions under which this list can do well. Clearly, it did well here and can do well in ITC too. A lot of that I think is going to be matchup dependent, and I think the Piranhas are a I think they're kind of a niche choice, right? I think they're something that is either going to work well or it's going to work really poorly depending on that matchup. I don't think it's a universal choice. I don't think it's a take all comers choice in an ITC environment. But I like Piranhas just from a thematic standpoint. I think it's a cool model, and I'm happy that he had a lot of success with them because they deserve more attention, especially just because you don't see them that often. I think anytime we see a model that isn't being used conventionally, it's a good thing, right? So if this is, I could totally be wrong. I could totally be missing the new boat. I could be, I could just be not seeing the next big thing right in front of me. I think that you might see a little bit more Piranhas because of this result. People might give them another look. I'm going to give them another look, but I think it's a little bit rock, paper, scissors for my taste. I think I would rather invest the points in things like more broadsides, more Riptides, a Commander, Fire Warriors, any of our standard go-to units. I think I'd rather just invest more in those than divert points into eight Piranhas. Yeah. He also made a really good point about fusion blasters on Piranhas. Absolutely. Unfortunately, all my Piranhas are built with fusion blasters in mind because that's how I was using them, as basically like seek and destroy craft. But in his list, they all have burst cannons, and I think that's totally the way to run them today. I think it makes a lot of sense. And his point about using them to tie up units, I think, is really innovative, and I think really is the biggest takeaway from this list is using your Piranhas. For early board control is important and good, but just the point about disembarking your Piranhas disembarking your drones off the Piranhas after they've been destroyed, causing your opponent to have to consolidate into those drones instead of towards something else. I think that's a nice kind of herky-jerky maneuver that you can perform that will actually get you a lot of leverage over your opponent. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to try that out. I think so. I have a video going up tomorrow that will talk about kind of what I'm doing with the channel going forward. And one of those things is filming more battle reports. I'm going to film a battle report with my buddy Gil, who plays Blood Angels. All right. My buddy Gil, who plays Blood Angels. And it's going to be a fun list. It's not going to be a super competitive list or anything like that. So we will do... I'm not going to put Piranhas in that list, but the next time we play a fun game, I'll bring Piranhas for sure. Okay. Just looking at the comments here. Yeah, so the leadership bombs and the new chaos armies looks like it's going to hurt. I mean, I think that from a Tau perspective, it means that ethereals are going to be that much more important. but overall, it's going to hurt. Oh, sorry, guys. Just getting over a little bit of a bug here. Yeah, getting a drink would be advisable if I thought ahead about that. Yeah. Okay, so let's do the giveaway. The main thing I wanted to do was talk about the army list, see what you guys thought. It seems like there's, yeah, let me know in the comments here. What do you guys think about this list? Are you excited about it? Do you want to see more armies like that? Or what's kind of your takeaway? I think there are some cool things that work in there. I think there's definitely some interesting tactics that the success of this list brings to light that I want to see and explore more. I don't know if necessarily leaning into those tactics to the extent that this list does is going to be universally beneficial. All right. All right. So the link. All right. There's a link to the list again, guys. Bonding knife ritual does does work out a lot more nicely too, right? Like totally ignoring all the chaos leadership modifiers on a 6. Yeah, that feels good, right? I don't know. Do you guys see? Mini Wargaming just finished up their 24-hour live stream, and I was in there for probably longer than I should have been, but they at the end, of course, it ended with Dave doing a Shrine of Chaos, and it just devolved into this giant Chaos versus Tau thing. That was kind of entertaining. All right. Yes, yeah. So especially for drones, the leadership modifier is going to be really tough, and that's again why that ethereal is going to be more important. Is that I'm not super concerned about the Shaz Vrays with the leadership modifier, although it does make a difference. I'm more concerned about the drones because the drones have leadership 6, and that's something we always talk about with drones, right? Is leadership 6 really hurts them, especially for a unit that's meant to die a couple drones at a time. That leadership 6 is tricky, and if you have -2, -3 to their leadership, if you have -3 to a drone unit leadership, essentially that's a 1 turn only drone unit. You're not really going to get them to stick around very long. So having an ethereal nearby them is really important. And of course, that does then favor a deployment strategy, an overall army strategy that is more gunline focused. It reduces your ability to spread out because you need to have the ethereal nearby to provide that type of leadership support. There's ways around that, of course. You could have ethereals on hover drones. You can have ethereals on devilfish if you need to get them aboard, but that's expensive and not necessarily a great idea for ethereal on hoverboard, given the prevalence of things that can target characters with assassins and the new Vanguard guys and everything with chaos, right? So being able to target characters is becoming more of a thing now. And if that's true, those ethereals got to be hiding. You don't want them just out in the open hanging out with your drones. All right. Stealth suits. Great. So I will talk about stealth suits very shortly on the channel. I think my next few videos for the 2019 update series are going to be focused on battle suits. So we've already talked about crisis suits. We've already talked about broadsides. We're going to talk about commanders. We're going to talk about stealth suits and kind of go from there. All right. Cool. So yeah, I said we were going to do the giveaway. So let's do that. I have a post announcing this live stream on the Invasive Wargaming Facebook page. So what I want you guys to do is go to that post and comment on that. Okay. Right. So leave a comment on the Invasive Wargaming Facebook page. All right, facebook.com/invasive40K. Go ahead, leave a comment on the post for this live stream. And let's say okay, so it is 5:12 p.m. Central Time right now. If you do that before, okay, let's just make it easy. Within 24 hours of right now, if you post something in that post on the Invasive Wargaming Facebook page, leave a comment in there. You'll be entered to win a $20 or equivalent gift card to Games Workshop in whatever country you are in. So if you're in the US, it'll be $20. If you're in the UK, it'll be whatever the exchange rate is in pounds. Sorry, Brexit. And then if you're in the EU, it'll be in euros. Whatever you want, wherever you are, we will make that work. And the great thing about this is it avoids shipping costs, right? So if I was going to be trying to send something to you in the UK, I probably would pay more than that in shipping. And so this just makes things a lot easier, and you get exactly what you want. So go ahead, leave a comment in that post, in the live stream post on the Invasive Wargaming Facebook page, and I will draw a name at random tomorrow evening and notify the winner that way. Cool. That will be the giveaway. Cool. All right. Cool. So let's wrap it up. If there's any big questions people have, or big questions that can be succinctly answered, let's get those in the chat. Otherwise, we will wrap up and say adieu. Say for the greater good. Cool. Hey, thanks, Daniel. Yeah, 7.5K. I'm pretty excited about it. I really have been excited about how the channel has been growing, and the biggest part of that is you guys watching. Of course, whether you are liking, subscribing, leaving comments, or just watching the videos in the background, listening to them, however it is that you're engaging with the channel, I really appreciate it. And it's really nice to know that that you guys actually are interested in the content. When I go to tournaments and stuff, and people come up and say, "Oh, hey, aren't you that guy?" I think most of the time they're thinking of me, hopefully, not someone else. But yeah, it's just cool. So really happy that we're able to do this, that we're kind of building a community around this. And honestly, if it wasn't for the response that I got from you guys in terms of support and interest, I probably wouldn't still be doing this. So the fact that you guys are into it really makes it worth it for me to keep going. So thank you. When am I going to do a Town R review? That will be up there, right? Because Town R has had a series of changes since the index version, or since the index was released, that we should talk about. So yeah, that will be in the, it's not going to be next week, and it's probably not going to be the week after that, but it will be sometime in the near future. We'll talk about the Town R. Crude and Crude Hounds. So I love Crude, right? I think if they ever release a Crude Mercenaries Codex, we might as well just stop talking about the main Tau army and just, let's rebrand everything. It'll be Crude Wargaming, no Ivara title card. No, it's gonna be Crude 24/7. But as far as their role in the game right now, I'm of the opinion that there are better units for whatever you're trying to do with Crude. If you're looking for a screening unit, you get higher durability per point out of a Fire Warrior, and they have the ability to pew pew. So I don't know. I like Fire Warriors better for my infantry, but Crude are bodies. It's true, they do have bodies. Cool. Best way to build a Tau kill team. So I honestly was super into kill team when it launched. Haven't played it as much recently, but my list back then, I mean, I think really the ways you want to go with stealth suits are really good. Pathfinders with rail rifles are really good. Stay away from breachers. But overall, yeah, I think my list had it had and a recon drone. Recon drones are really good. So recon drone, you can only bring one. Stealth suits, pathfinders with railguns. Those are the way to go. I had my comm specialist be a fire warrior. Not sold on that really anymore, but yeah. What do I think about a list with no fire warriors or crew but 50 drones? It works like that. It's certainly been a trope that has popped up time and time again in 8th edition. And I mean, today in the meta right now certainly would be taking fire warriors more than drones. I think if you're taking drones, there's opportunity cost associated with that. But with the changes with the increased prevalence of leadership modifiers that we're going to see with chaos being released, I think that's a huge risk factor, right? Having that leadership 6, just like we were just talking about a few minutes ago, I think that's going to put a big nail in the all drone list option, just because they're going to be dropping like flies. Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll do two more questions here. So Pallet is asking, do you have any tips for terrain that would match Farsight colors? Yeah, so do like Arizona desert, right? So kind of like that sandstone color, that like kind of red sandy stone, kind of barren wasteland, Mad Max. I think all that works really, really well with Farsight colors. Otherwise, you can kind of flip it, go for you could almost go like for Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar. You could go with something like that, where like the red is just supposed to be a huge contrast to some like cooler colors on the scenery. Right. All right, one more question. Oh, okay. Yes, I should plug the Discord community, and so I will. Guys, if you haven't listened to the end card of the videos, you should know that there is a Invasive Wargaming Discord channel. And there's a link in the description of all the recent videos. You can go there, talk about Tau tactics, general stuff about videos, whatever's going on that you want to talk about. You can talk about that in general chat within reason, of course. And then we have Tau Tactic Talk, a hobby hangout, or I think I called it a hobby hub. And then a special channel just for patrons too. So if you're a patron, you get special things on Discord, which is cool. Yeah. What channel do I recommend for bat reps? So for one thing, there's been kind of like a notable increase in the number of high quality bat reps that are coming out. I'm going to do my part and try to contribute not only bat reps, but I'm going to try to do some nice editing with them and stuff too. But I still think that Glacial Geek is one of my favorite bat rep guys. Phil just does a great job. He has a wonderful character, and he showcases a nice range of armies on nice tabletops, and just a all around good channel. So if I'm looking for bat reps, I always go to Glacial Geek first. Cool. All right, so we will end the video on those two plugs, one for the Invasive Wargaming Discord and the other for Phil. I don't have any interaction with Phil, but I think you want to recognize people doing good work, and so Phil, this one's for you. All right, so Cool. If you guys want to get into that $20 gift card drawing, hop on over to the Facebook page, leave a comment, and like I said, I will draw a name at random in a little bit less than 24 hours now. So thanks for watching, everybody. Again, huge, huge appreciation for everything that you do, whether it's just watching the videos or engaging in the channel in other ways. I really appreciate it. And as always, happy wargaming.